little bit more than I was planning on. Got here, big. We empowered Bill. I should pick on him for that. Bill did a good job putting this together, but he left out my outline. But he didn't leave it out. He said, you know, Jeremy, I didn't see your outline, so I made one for you. So we made a blank page. He's like, I didn't want to have boundaries. You can cover on anything. Well, I actually have an outline, so I'll cover some stuff. You guys can take notes, as you wish. You don't have to, I guess. But anyway, I started, like Mike was talking about, I started just like you. I was 17 years ago, the winter of '98, and I started in Columbus, Ohio. I'm a diehard Buckeye. I answered an ad just like everybody else. I answered an ad in the newspaper, and tiny little ad. You guys know what the newspaper is? I know I talked about this yesterday. What's the newspaper? You guys have paper, right, in front of you. They would print news articles on paper, and then they would fold it up, and then they would deliver them to people's homes. It was the craziest thing in the world. And in that paper, they had a classified section. They had job ads and stuff like that. I went through the paper, and it was my first time ever, and I was circling. You'd take like a highlighter or a pen or something. You'd circle ads that seemed attractive to you. And I answered an ad that said ski fun cash. And I went, I ski, I snowboard, and I ski, and that is fun, and it's a job. You're going to pay me for it. This is a cool gig. I'm in. So I answered, and they said, well, can you come in for an interview? I said, yeah, I can come in. So I came in for my interview, and just like you probably remember, my interview was real quick. I don't remember a whole bunch about what was really said in my interview. I remember a few things. It was like 7 minutes. And I remember them talking about the sports teams. I remember them talking about, and he said, you play sports? Yeah, I play sports and all that. He talked about golf course. Yes, for golf. Yeah, I golf. It's cool. He talked about restaurants, and I said, yeah, I eat. That's not, I got no issues there. And then he talked about ski resorts. And he asked me, I ski. I said, yeah, I ski. He said, man, seems like we should have you come in for a second interview. I said, this sounds great, He said, but it's an all-day thing. We might be able to get you on the ski promotion. I said, man, that would be awesome. And all I'm thinking is passing out free lift tickets, finding some ski buddies. I'm going to be at the hill all day. And he said, no, it's like all day. It'll be like 11 o'clock until 8 o'clock. And I said, of course, for anybody who's been skiing, that's an all-day thing. I said, that's fine. And he said, but it's professional dress, but be prepared to be outside. I said, no, I ski. I got that. Got no issues. So I come in for my second interview, and I was dressed up. But I get to the office and I see people wearing suits. They're like wearing ties and stuff. Like, maybe I'm a little underdressed. I get introduced to this guy named Mike Schrock, and we go walking out of the office. He says, "Do you drive?" I said, "Yeah, I parked right here." I said, "Okay, do you mind if we take your car?" I said, "No, that's easier for me." Mind you, I was ready to go to the hill. I had all my stuff in the car, so I didn't want to unpack it and take stuff out and put it in somebody else's car. I said, "No, that's way easier for me." "Do you want to grab some stuff?" He says, "No, I'm good." Always holding as a binder. Right, like an old portfolio thing. I'm good. How are we going to make this work? I was like, well, maybe we're not going to ski. Maybe we're just going to hang out. That's fine. I guess. Right, we go driving off to the field. He's telling me where we're going. He's turn here, and we pull off the highway. We pull into a neighborhood. I said, oh wow, he's going to take me to his house. This is cool. This is pretty neat. I don't remember what we're talking about. All I thought was, this is going to be pretty cool, right? Second interview, I'm going to, I meet this guy. He seems like it's a fun place. Ski and fun, cash. This is cool. We'll go to his house. And it's a nice neighborhood. And he's only been there for a couple months. I'm like, man, this guy's making money. This is going to be great, right? And we said, park right here. And I said, this house is great. He said, you want to come? I said, yeah. I'm looking at the house. I grab my stuff, get out of the car. He goes walking up. And I'm following up the drive. I'm behind him a little bit, and I notice that he's not pulling out keys to open the door, and he's like ringing the doorbell or knocking. And I go, okay, so it's not his house. It's like mom and dad's house. I don't have my parents' keys, so maybe it's mom and dad's house. That's a nice house. Gonna meet his parents. That's cool. So I'm walking on the sidewalk, heading up to the stoop, the front porch. All of a sudden, the lady answers, and I don't. The dialogue wasn't, "Hi, Mom, how are you?" It was different, right? And so I kind of stopped. I was like, "Wait a minute, this is weird." Right? This isn't what I thought was going to happen. Then the lady looks at me, and I'm doing one of these. And then she looks back at Mike, going, "What?" Back to him. And then she says, "I'm not interested," and slams the door. And then Mike looks at me, and I'm still going, "What? What's happening?" He goes, what's the matter with you? And I go, what's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? What are we doing here? The whole conversation was really awkward. He was just graduated from university, and he starts talking about, dude, we're doing the promotion for Gibby's, and we're doing 7 dinners and 7 lunches. Didn't you hear what we were talking about? I was like, dude, I must have missed that one. I'm sorry. And I go, 7 dinners, 7 lunches. I mean, that's for $20. That's a really good deal. Does Gibby's know we're out here doing this? Of course they know, right? It's really bad conversation. So we walk off, this person's driveway, and all I'm thinking is how. Tough times fell on me in my life. I got that, but man, things had to be real bad for Mike, for him to have to go door to door and sell coupons for his job. And I drove, and I didn't want to leave him in the field. Just like, someone was eating at me. I was like, man, so Mike, are we going to eat lunch today? He says, yeah. Said, about what time? It might be like 11:45, maybe. It's around 2:30 or something like that. Come on. I said, all right. Or is other people going to be around? He said, yeah, normally. I said, okay, cool. So all I'm thinking is, I'll hang out for a couple hours. I said I would drive, so I'll at least follow through with that commitment at lunch. I'll ditch out, I'll leave him with the other guys, and we'll be good. So we go walk around, and he starts talking about the business, and talking about the concept, and the concept made sense. I mean, when was the last time you got 14 meals for $20? I mean, it was a good deal, right? They were buy one, get one free dinner, so from a consumer standpoint, that's a good deal. You can go to the restaurant, if they got good food and good service, hey, they're going to really enjoy this. And if the restaurant, the concept was, the restaurant has good food and good service, they could win over a whole new customer base. That's good for them. From a sales standpoint, it was definitely a street hustle. No pun intended. It was, you were selling, you were hustling. But it didn't cost a lot of money to print those certificates. It was cost $0.25 or something, less than $1 to print the certificate, and the rest was pure profit. So I started doing the math. How many people are in the office? How many sales does an average person do? How does it add up? There's about 20 people in the building. An average person does about 10 certificates. And I'm going, okay, so that's 200. That's a lot of money, right? Like, where's all the money go, right? Who's that guy to do my interview, and all that kind of stuff, right? I said, well, hey, somebody's making money. You said Gibby's knows we're doing this? Yeah. I saw him sell a certificate too. We go to lunch. I mean, I'll never forget, we were at Wendy's on Sawmill Road in Worthington, Ohio. And I met another guy named Jeff Nielsen, who's a really smart guy, really sharp. His dad was a doctor and ran a family practice in Massachusetts. Getting a chance to see other people and talk to other people doing the business really helped me. And I sit down. I asked Jeff, I don't know, probably 100 questions about his background, what he did, how he came into the business, and why he's doing it. Because he didn't have to do the job, right? He didn't need to go door to door for his career. And I was like, what's happening, right? And I kept asking and asking, and now he played sports, you're smart. I was like, why are you doing this, Jeff? And he said, Mike must not have explained it. He pulls out the yellow Wendy's napkin and flips it over, and gives me like a little mini opportunity meeting. It breaks down the training program, probably like what you do for your second interviews that you take out. It was talked about earlier when Dee was talking about it, right? This is how the training program works. And he said, you start off as a distributor. You learn how to do the sales. I said, okay, I got that. So then you learn how to then you get promoted to leadership. I said, okay, and then you get promoted to assistant management. Then you get promoted to management. Back then, the whole program is geared for 10 to 12 months. I said, okay. Now I've seen this kind of stuff before, Jeff, so just tell me, when do I have to pay? He's like, what do you mean? I go, dude, I've seen all those multi-level marketing, network marketing things, so how much do I got to pay to start? And he goes, they don't pay anything. I said, so I don't have to pay to get these certificates? He said, no, they go up inside it. You just take them out and you sell whatever you sell, and you bring back what you don't sell, and you get paid in cash. I said, okay, so then I got to pay to be a trainer. There's like a trainer pack. How much do I got to pay for the trainer pack? He said, no, you don't pay anything for the trainer pack. We don't have that. So what do you call it? You don't pay anything. Okay, so then what do I pay to be an assistant manager? He goes, no, you don't, Jeremy, you're not saying you don't pay to be an assistant manager. So I just pay my franchise fee or whatever you guys call it. He's like, dude, you seriously don't understand. You don't pay anything the whole time. Because didn't you pay attention to what you guys were doing out there? And I said, what do you mean, selling the coupons door to door? He goes, yeah. He goes, that sucks, doesn't it? And I go, yeah. He goes, that's your dues. You got to pay your dues in the field. If you can't do the field, you'll never do well here. So you'll quit. If you can do well, just like I told you, you can do well at the sales, then we can teach you how to manage people. If you can manage people and do great at that, then we can teach you how to manage run an office, and then we can go from our 1 office to 2 offices, and then we can go from 2 offices to 4, and then 4 to 8, and we can just keep growing, and the bigger we get, the more leverage we have with our clients. So we can go from little rinky-dink Gibby's client now to then being able to sign a regional account, to then being able to sign more of a national brand, to where we can really start representing the biggest brands on the planet. And all of a sudden it was like the hamster started working, you know, the wheels started spinning, and the lights started going off, and it kind of made sense. And then the next thing I knew, I was back in my car in the neighborhood again with Mike sitting next to me, and I go, holy crap, I was supposed to leave him. How in the world did I get back here? I'm serious. And I went, you know, I was frustrated. I was, you know, so I get out of the car, we were walking around again, and, you know, Mike wasn't good at this. He was missing sales left and right. You know, he was terrible presentation. He was missing buying signs. You know, it was like, dude, this guy's, if he can make a living doing this, and he's terrible at it, I think I'm going to be great. You know, it was like one of those things. I said, I just don't think I can do this. You know, and then he started talking about the concept of how it all works, and started talking about, you know, that there was much more in the future to come if we did the right thing. And I come back from my final interview. Remember, this was an all-day thing. It was about 8 o'clock. Most of you guys don't do evening atmosphere. Dwayne asked, and I think he did quick math that there was 3% of the people do evening atmosphere every day. But we did evening atmosphere, and it was crazy. It was the weirdest experience of my life. We walked in, and everybody's high-fiving, and music is playing loud. I mean, it was like a nasty, drizzly, wet day, so everybody's wet. I'm upset, you know, I wasn't skiing, you know. Why are you guys so happy, right? It was high-fiving, ringing bells, and I sit down and fill out this questionnaire, and then I get pulled back for my final interview, and the manager, Jerry, said, hey, so, you know, I understand you probably will have some questions about today, and I said, yeah. I said, you know, first, I just want to thank you for letting me come in and spend some time with the company. I appreciate that. I've got some great people out there. It was good getting a chance to know them. But I don't think any of them were being honest with me. So what do you mean? I said, they didn't tell me I had to pay anything to do this. So I just want to know what I have to pay, how much. He said, I thought you would ask that. They said you probably asked. I said, so what's the deal? What's the catch? He said, you don't pay anything. He broke down the training program again. And he said, look, the reality is you're going to get paid cash every day. I'm never going to ask you for anything. If I do, you should quit. But we think you'd be great. Why don't you give it a shot? I said, okay, give it a shot. It's like, you know, worst case, you're going to get paid cash, do some big sales, make some beer money for the weekend, not be a bad thing. So then I come in and I start. And when I started, it was even stranger than evening atmosphere that night before, right? I came in and everybody, they circled up for the meeting. I swore, I was like, man, if they pull out a chicken, I'm leaving. I started pacing back by the door, like, this is getting kind of weird, you know? My leader grabbed me by my shirt, and like, dude, you gotta stay here. I'm like, yeah, but this is getting weird. There were these weird things and stuff. It was awkward. And you know, look, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate. You're top leaders. Just about everything you've probably touched in your life, you've been pretty good at. And that's how life wasn't tough for me up to that point. Sports was pretty simple. Schoolwork was, I mean, any sport I played, I was just naturally gifted at being athletic. Schoolwork wasn't complicated. Schoolwork, you read stuff, you retain the information, pass tests. It was simple, you know. Social relationships, not tough. Girls, none of that. Nothing was a challenge, really, you know. And then I came in, and I was like, I'm going to be great at this. And day one, I'm in the field, and I could not say the pitch to save my life. I mean, it was weird, right? Day two, I go out with a girl named Gretchen Gledhill, and she ran me into the ground. I couldn't sell anything at all, but my feet were bleeding at the end of the day. I'm like, this is the dumbest job ever. Then I come back in for my third day, and they set me up with Jeff, the guy that I met, you know, on my second interview. And he was, you know, again, really sharp. And I was really excited to get a chance to go out with Jeff. He was about ready to get promoted to assistant management. And we walk out of the office, and he hands me, you know, the map, and you guys know what a map is, right? But this was a different kind of map back then. It wasn't digital, right? It was like an actual piece of paper with the streets written on it. It was weird. And they would make a photocopy of it. You guys know what a photocopy is, right? They would highlight it, and then we'd go to that territory. And Siri didn't take you there. It wasn't like Google said turn right. Like you had to physically look at the map and figure out where we're going. So I look at the map to see where we're going, and I realized it's the neighborhood that my parents still live in, that I grew up in. Now, for some of you, you know, the business is cooler than it was when I started. But for some of you, you told your family exactly what you did when you started. I didn't. I left my dad and my grandfather owned a family business called Lead Organics. They wanted me to take it over. and I left the family business and decided to try to go do my own thing, right? Fumbled through some stuff, and then fell into starting here. When I called my dad, and when he called me and asked how my interview went, I told him that it was a management training program, and it was a marketing company that worked with sports teams, golf courses, ski resorts, trying to be a manager to run the city. He said, "Great, so what do you do?" I said, "Dad, it's like my first day on the job. Like, it's a management training program, marketing company." He said, "Well, what do you guys actually do?" I said, "Dad, look, I'll tell you more after I know some more. We'll talk later. Hey, tell him I'm a lover." Quick. Right? No. Wasn't there on social media, we weren't texting each other. And then I'm going to the neighborhood that they live in. And I went, oh my goodness, how's this going to work, right? So I told Jeff, we should go to a different territory. There's not enough homes in this neighborhood. No, just there's no. So we get to the neighborhood, and I go, we hop out of the car, and I say, hey, Jeff, look, I'm just going to go to the houses by myself. I'm more of a solo operator. I don't know if the guys told you that about me now. That's fine, whatever. He goes to the next house or something. I know everybody in the neighborhood. I grew up there, right? My parents still physically live there right now. And I knock on the first door, and it was the Ashes, and I played baseball and sports with Jason Ash my whole life. And Donna, his mom, answers the door, and I say, "Hi, Mrs. Ash, how are you?" And she's like, "Oh, Jeremy, I haven't seen you in a while. How you doing?" I said, "I'm great." She's like, "Hey, Jay's not here." I said, "Oh, that's all right. I just stopped by to see you anyway." She said, "Oh." I said, "Hey, we're doing these things for Gibbies for $20. She goes, "Oh, hold on. You take cash or check?" "Hold on. Oh, I got $20 here." She hands me a $20 bill, and I said, "Hey, tell Jay I said, hi, have a great day." Left. "Jeff, I got one." He's like, "Man, good for you." Go to the next house. It's Trott's house. I played sports my whole life with Jason. Big Ten batting champ 2 years in a row at Ohio State. Like Mrs. Trott, Libby answers the door. I knocked my teeth out in her backyard. She put my teeth back in when I was a kid. "Hey, Mrs. Trott, how are you?" "Jeremy, so good to see you. How are you?" I said, "Man, I'm doing great." "Hey, Jake's not around." I said, No, it's all good. I stopped by to see you, man." "Oh, give me a hug." "So what are you doing?" I said, "Oh, it's a promotion for Gibbies for $20, Don. I just got one." "Oh, hold on a second." Got $20. I mean, the day goes like that. "Jeff, got another one." "Hey, let me see." "No, dude, I'm a solo operator." I was back about 10%. I sold 10 certificates in like an hour and 15 minutes to the 10 moms that I saw. And then we were coming up to my parents' house, and I said, "Hey, Jeff, maybe you should come with this one with me." This was about time. So I need more certificates. I didn't have it. I need more certificates. Come on. We walk up. He's like, "Seriously, what are you doing?" I said, "You'll see." Please nobody answers. Please nobody answers. My dad answers. "Hey, Dad, how's it going?" "Good." And I know, because I turned, Jeff has got the same look I had. He's like, "Dad said, what are you doing?" I said, "Remember I told you we were working with that marketing company?" "Yeah." I said, "We're doing a promotion for Gibbies." He said, "Oh, so you stopped by for lunch?" And I said, Nope. We're doing a promotion for Gibbies in the neighborhood." He's like, "Oh, so you stopped by to say hi?" I said, Nope. See these certificates, Dad?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "We're physically walking around the neighborhood doing this promotion in the neighborhood." I said, "What?" "You should invite us in." Come on. He invites us in, and we sit down at the table, and I have to give my dad a mini opportunity meeting. I got to break down the training program. "Dad, you got a napkin?" I said, "No." I got to give me a piece of paper. So I started drawing out the training program they did for me. Now I'm going to start off as a distributor. That's what I'm doing now. I got to learn how to do the sales, and then I'll get promoted when I get good at the sales, and I'll get promoted to leadership. And then I get good at teaching and training and managing, a team of people. And if I can be good at leading and inspiring a team of people, then I'll get promoted to assistant management. And Jeff's about ready to get promoted to assistant manager, right, Jeff? Right? I was like, "Yeah, I'm about ready." And I said, "I don't have to pay anything, right?" And then when I get good at learning how to manage and run the office, then I can open up and run my own office, and I don't have to buy anything, right? It's not like franchise. I don't have to buy it. It's like, no, you don't pay anything. I said the program is geared for 10 to 12 months. It's no seniority. It's 100% promotion within. This is how the money works. I start breaking down all how the money works and how I get paid cash and all this stuff. I said, man, and I showed my dad how in 2 years I was going to be a millionaire because I was going to open up offices. And my dad said, look, half of what you're telling me is true. You could make a lot of money doing that. I said, I know, that's what I said. He said, well, just one piece of advice. Just don't give up when times get tough. I said, all right, fair enough. I said, you want one of these Gibby cards? He said, so he starts walking us out. I grabbed 20 bucks from his wallet. Buster certificate. Then day one. And look, I was excited. We came back, we rang the bell that night. As much as I hated that the days before, I was excited that day. I was ringing the bell. My first day solo. You guys remember your first day solo? My first day solo. I don't know anybody in the neighborhood. I go to the territory, and my pitch was pathetic. It was, hey sir, how are you? Hey, we're stopping by from Gibby's for 20 bucks. Do you want one? And it was no. It was like, hey, they're Gibby's 20 bucks. Do you want one? No. 7 dinners and 7 lunch for 20 bucks. Huh? No. Terrible. It was, 4 or 5 o'clock. I was on zero, utterly depressed, sitting on the curb in the neighborhood, like physically sitting on the curb in the neighborhood. A car starts driving by, and I go, please don't be a cop, please don't be a cop, please don't be a cop. And it stops checking. I'm like, oh great, now I'm going to get arrested, right? It's the mailman. He goes, hey man, what are you doing? I go, dude, I have no idea. I'm working for some marketing company, and I don't even, he's like, no. He's like, what do you do? I've seen you out here. Like, what's in your hand? I go, man, I don't know. It's Gibby's. There's 7 dinners and 7 lunch for 20. He's like, Gibby's? And interrupts me, and I go, yeah. He goes, man, we go there all the time. I go, really? He goes, well, let me see it. And I go, all right. And I hand it to him. He said, 7 dinners, 7 lunches, 20 bucks. He's like, man, get one? I go, really? So the Bible get one. He's like, you gotta actually eat with some. He's like, man, I was with my buddies, we'll be fine. Is it okay if I get one? Eventually, it was the worst pitch ever, worst close. He buys one. So one certificate all day. I made $7 on each sale back then. So I made $7. I probably spent more at lunch. I definitely spent more at the cost of gas that day. I get back to the office, and everybody's all happy again, right? Everybody's high-fiving and ringing bells. Yeah, everybody got blue pills, and I didn't get one. They pull me in, and people are all happy and excited. Music's playing. Jerry, how was your day? And I'm like, dude, it was terrible. It was terrible. But the next thing, what's going on, guys? What's going on, man? How's your day? It's first day solo. How was it? I'm like, dude, it was terrible. Like, what? And then my leader comes over. I see him. Like, makes eye contact with me. Like, I said something bad. He's like, man, how was your day? I'm like, man, it was terrible. He goes, dude, you gotta be positive. I said, I am positive. I was there all day. It was terrible. I'm not making it up. I get yanked out of atmosphere, they settle me up real quick. I get walked out of the office. Oh, it's bad. And Jeff walked me out with Mike, and he said, hey, remember what your dad said? Or after some stuff. I said, yeah, he said, remember, don't give up on tough days. I said, oh, I heard him say it. He goes, this is one of those days, man. I said, all right, fine. So I show up the next day. I'm not making it up. I was bad, like really bad. I would show up late for atmosphere every morning on purpose. Now, mind you, we didn't get paid guaranteed wages, right? It was straight commission, so it didn't matter so much. Late every day on purpose. I hated practice pitching. I thought it was weird that I was pitching with people that knew what I was supposed to say, and I couldn't say it. And I was like, it feels uncomfortable. I don't want to do it. But they show up late. I'd show up right before the meeting, grab my certificates, and leave. I was terrible. I would have been fired. I'm so glad I didn't start now. And my whole problem was my ego, my arrogance. All I thought was, I'm going to be a great manager. I am absolutely going to be an unbelievable owner. They just have to promote me and see. And I said, okay, that didn't work. So then I said, well, hey, if I hang out long enough, everybody else will quit. They'll have to promote me because I'll be the only one here. That didn't work either. I was bad. And I was fortunate. I got a chance to go on a road trip, and I met some other people. I met another guy who he went to an Ivy League school, name was Jesse Young. He's president of the class at Brown University. We hit it off really well. And he personally recruited his college roommate, who was a D1 wrestler. He was number 3 D1 wrestler when he was in school, so he was really good. And he was a Brown grad also. And they didn't have to do this job. You know, they didn't need to go door to door for their career, and they were doing it. You know, and we had lots of conversation about what's going on. He said, Jeremy, because I said, Jesse, why do you do this? You still don't get it. And I said, no, I mean, I get it. You know, there's a lot of money, and I get it. And he's like, no, but you don't get it. Like, look, this is what's at stake. And he just started talking about what's really going on in the business and how we can have these couple offices, as I said earlier, how we can keep expanding. I said, Jeff told me the same thing. He goes, yeah, but you're not understanding it. It's not resonating. And I said, you know, I think I got it. And then I saw an opportunity again there. And they talked about how big we could be one day. And they painted the picture about where we are right now and where we're planning on going. And it was, again, light bulb. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm being an idiot. I got to start being a student. I got to plug into the people that are around me that are doing it right. If Jesse's willing to do it, if Derek can do it, if Mike can do it, if Tom can do it, if these guys can do it and they can make money doing it, maybe I should just at least try to make money doing it if I think I'm going to be a great manager. So I started being a student for the people that were getting the job done. And then I did unbelievable. You know, flash forward all the way to here. Well, you know, I opened up offices and opened up offices all over, a whole bunch of other stuff. You know, blah, blah, blah. So now we're here, right? We have, as a company, you know, Zach was talking about earlier, we're poised for major expansion. And what we talked about for years, for 5 years, 6 years, since we've been launching these stores, was once we get our footprint to the point where we're in the retail stores, we'll finally be able to leverage who we are as a company to be able to represent really big brands. And now we're launching some of the biggest programs in our company's history you guys are a part of. So we're sitting at lunch today. Somebody said, man, so what's going to happen? Right? Eric said, so what's going to happen? Is it okay if I ask you, what happens when we cover all the stores and we have 1,000 offices? What are we going to do then? We're going to run out of room? I said, you mean just for DTV? And he said, no, I mean, when we get 1,000 offices, like we run out of room. And that was the exact dialogue, the conversation. I said, just for DirecTV? And he said, I guess so. I said, well, what else are we going to do? Think of all of the clients we've already started to launch. Zach mentioned AT&T's of the world. That merger is already going down. We've already started our test in 10 stores. Verizon, we've already done tests and we're already doing tests. We already launched cell phones. We're already launching with CenturyLink, with Charter. I mean, the list literally goes on and on and on. We've already launched solar. We're already launching, he mentioned the retailer, Kroger. We're launching Kroger in 3 weeks for a test. I mean, it's insane how many things are coming up. And this, in my opinion, is the tip of the iceberg. We've already launched Samsung. They're paying us to stand in stores. It's absurd what we can do. When I started, we were selling Gibby's coupons door to door. But this is what we talked about 15 years ago. So if you could just for a minute pause and say, okay, 15 years from now, what would you like your life to be like? And I don't mean just, swimming in, bubbles and money and stuff. That's not. I'm talking like your lifestyle. What would you like to be able to do? What would you like to be able to afford to do? What vacations would you like to be able to go on? How many offices would you like to have? And then think. Remember, right now, Back to the Future says we're supposed to be driving hovercrafts right now and hoverboard skateboards. Right? So I'm a little disappointed. I gotta be honest, I'm a little disappointed. But 15 years from now, I don't know the brands or clients we're going to represent, but I can tell you, the bigger we get, the more leverage we have, the more power we have to say, look who we are. We want to be the #1 third-party company on the planet, and we're pretty stinking close to being it. We're definitely it with DirecTV. We're definitely it in the retail footprint right now. We can be it when you get to ownership, but you have to pay attention to what you're doing. So, a couple little things. We've got to manage the brands properly. When I was taking out second interviews, I used to talk to my second interviews just like they did with me about all the other clients, all the other industries, and all the other programs that they're launching. And I didn't stand at a podium and preach to them when I was taking out the second interviews. Remember, my second interviews were 8-hour second interviews. Your second interviews are an hour and a half. We were talking about this at lunch, right? Your second interviews are an hour and a half, hour long. So they get into the store, they see a couple pitches, you have them engage with a member, with a customer, just so they can say hi. If you're in Costco, it's a little bit different, but everybody else, that's how it works, right? You don't really have the opportunity to dig for 8 hours on reaching in their brain, massaging it, getting them to think different about the industry. Because we don't want them to just think about the sales, we want them to think about running one of the offices. So on day one, that second interview, you got to start the conversation. Hey, can you think of any other industries we could do this for? Can you think of any other clients we could represent brands for? Just think of sales. What companies need sales done for them? And then have them start to think about designing a promotion. And when they go, why? We have to say, look, remember, you're not interviewing a position to just staff a store and do sales. We're looking for you to manage and run one of these offices, to run a city that's running multiple retailers. We want you to be in control of this. So we'll want you to be able to manage these clients and these programs. Maybe you'll be put in charge of one of them one day. So how would you do it? How would you set the deal up? How would you pay us as a company? How would you structure the whole thing? And talk to them about it. Now look, your second day, that first day retrain, is now 8 hours. They went from an hour in the store where they saw 20 pitches at best, right? And it's, hey, how's it going, real soft, to now they're taking no's on the chin for 8 hours. They went from 20 to 200 no's. Drastically different. Now you really need to dig onto how the business works. What other industries we can do this for, right? So we talked about it a little bit yesterday. You mentioned this and this and this. Let's talk more about that. Get them to think bigger than just standing in the store. And you need to do this on day 1, day 2, and day 3 training. All the time, get them to think better. And Zach talked about compliance. You have to be able to manage the brands we have right now. Even though Gibby's wasn't the best client on the planet, I had to make sure I repped that brand in the right way when I was in the field. So where every person I spoke with was excited that I engaged with them. Bill was talking about 2 days ago about making sure that you pour a little bit of sunshine in everybody's buckets. It was funny. He said, you just got to make sure every person you touch in a day needs to smile a little bit more just because you came in contact with them. You do that when you represent the brands you represent today, and then you continue to build a crew and get promoted, then we can represent some of the bigger companies in the future. So when I was doing first round interviews, I haven't done interviews in a while, but when I was doing first round interviews, we would have, I would always ask questions about what kind of characteristics people are looking for in a company. And maybe your owner asks you the same questions, what kind of characteristics we're looking for in a company. It's always the same scripted answers. It was, rapid growth. It was a financial. They wanted to be in a stable company, a financially secure company. They wanted a positive atmosphere. Basic things. And I asked questions like, "What do you want to be doing 5 years from now? You could jump at 5 years from now. You do anything you want. What would you like to be doing?" And everybody would always say, "Man, I want to be financially independent. I want to own my own company. I want to be in management, supervisory role, that kind of stuff." And I'd sometimes ground them and say, "What do you want to be doing a year from now?" See what they said. And there were people that then worked for me. And there were people that I worked with when I was a leader, when I was you in the field, that were better at the business than I was. They were way better than me. I mean, drastically better than me. People that worked for me that were better than me in the business. That aren't around anymore. That gave up, that quit, that couldn't do it. And there's a lot of reasons why. But they just weren't willing to work hard when I was. They weren't willing to do the things necessary to get promoted. So there's a story. Maybe your owner ran this meeting for you. It's one that made an impact on me. There's a dad who had 3 boys, and they grew up in a little farm town. They left the farm town to go work in the big city. They all worked at the same company. They all got paid different amounts of money. One got paid $500, one got paid $1,000, one got paid $2,000. Every time they hung out at family reunions and holidays, they would always complain about how they all got paid different amounts of money. Their dad, small town farmer guy, calls their boss